3, 2, 1.
All right, I'm not going to lie. I was a little lazy yesterday because I didn't make a trivia game.
Oh, no.
But at the same time, I was like, there was a chance today's show wasn't going to happen or like be super delayed or something. So I thought to myself, is it worth putting in the effort on a show that might get canceled? And we'll explain why.
Sounds excessive.
It's like, so probably not. I think that, and we just were able to do a 3-minute countdown, jump on in the afternoon on the East Coast, 9:30 here on the West Coast.
Well,
What?
August is National Lazy Month, so.
Is that a thing? Who made national? I feel like it takes too much, like, action to make National Lazy Month. You know what I mean? Like, it takes someone proactive to do that.
One person, because we still don't have National You Look Great Day. So
Okay.
one person did all the work, so the rest of us were allowed to be lazy during National Lazy Month.
Got it. Let's see. So, Cardi, Lisa, and Brian, thanks for the subs,
Hell yeah.
the gifted subs, and the bits. Thank you very much. If we end up taking a shot today, if the hype train goes through level 5.
Oh, what are we taking a shot
Well,
of?
I don't know yet, but we'll actually be taking it like later in the day. So maybe you'll actually do a better job of taking the shot, Carla Marie.
That's not a chance.
No? Okay. I thought maybe because it's not.
I'm so hungry because, like, right now is when my fast ends. Like, right now.
So go eat something.
Nah, I'm going to wait.
We got a couple things we want to talk about today. It's not going to be a full Bachelorette recap because there's really not a ton to recap in terms of, like, there's only 3 people left, or there were 3 people left yesterday. We'll talk about what's going to be coming up for the finale. And
no, there's like the biggest thing to debate.
Yes, there's a debate. And I think this can go whether or not you watched The Bachelorette last night with our friend Katie. Whether or not you watched doesn't matter. Once we give you the details, you'll be able to weigh in on everything. The other thing I want to talk about actually is Minnesota Vikings football.
Oh, can't wait.
So I don't know if you probably haven't heard about this yet, Carla Marie. Because if I said Minnesota Vikings football and you knew what I was talking about, you would know where this conversation is going to go.
No.
So I don't know if anyone else has. But what happened in Minnesota, thank you, Robbie and Everett, for the gifted subs. And that just kicked off the hype train. Let's see where we're at already.
Is this sports with a Z?
It's kind of sports with a Z. It's sports with a V for COVID. So here's what happened with the Minnesota Vikings. One of their top 3 quarterbacks.
Who?
He's like a backup. I don't really know his name.
Okay,
but one of their top 3 quarterbacks got COVID. But with the NFL protocols in place at the moment, non-vaccinated players who are near that player who tests positive for COVID have to also go into quarantine away from the team. So 3 of their 4 quarterbacks in the quarterback's room aren't vaccinated.
Well, that seems...
You know who the only vaccinated quarterback is in that room?
Who?
Jake Browning, who used to play here at
Oh.
University of Washington. He's been on their practice squad for 2 years. But the reason this is becoming a bigger story is the head coach, the head football coach of the Minnesota Vikings, actually came out and kind of chastised his players and the public at large and kind of called everyone idiots. And what I loved that he brought up was he said something at the end of one of his press conferences talking about his 3 inactive quarterbacks. They had to go sign 2 more quarterbacks just to have enough people on the roster.
Could you imagine?
Garrett Cole tested positive last night too.
On the Yankees.
Yeah.
You can tell people that. I don't know. It said it. I would never have known he was.
You don't know who Garrett Cole is?
No.
Oh. He basically came out towards the end of his press conference. He said something along the lines of, I thought we were playing football, which is a team sport, and this seems unbelievably selfish. And the other thing he said, he was like, out of all the things we went through last season in terms of the protocols, the testing, the canceled games, the, not being able to go out of the hotel on road trips, things like that.
Yeah.
He goes, you would think players would want to make the proper sacrifice to not have to go through all of that again because we could have been past this had everyone gotten vaccinated. And he also brought up, he was like, man, some of the things these guys watch on Facebook and YouTube, it's out there. So he's like clearly like in these players' minds, they're talking about it in the locker room. And it was just interesting because most football coaches, I think, would be scared to lose the locker room. But he even said, he goes, I'm not going to convince them. They've already made up their mind.
Right.
So I'm just saying what I want to say, and they're going to do what they want to do. They're grown-ass men. It was just a really interesting press
You're going to
conference.
start seeing different effects of COVID now. Obviously, people are still getting sick and people are still dying, and nurses and doctors are still dealing with overrun hospitals and whatnot. But now there's these different effects.
Like what?
Like now there are rules because of
yeah.
it, and now you may not be sick, but now you're dealing with the repercussions of not following the rules or whatever it may be.
Audrey, the only G, Mellow FM. Who else is in here? I saw a couple other bits come through. Thank you to everyone who has gotten us this far through level 3 of the hype train. We're like right there.
I'm with you, Texaco, though.
What?
Every single thing that happens now is just a relation to COVID.
Well, yeah. And yes, I think just like Texaco Shorty said, we're all sick of it. Thankfully, I have not been sick from it, and you haven't either. But hopefully we can get through
next
it.
Week, so.
Well, yeah, you'll probably get it then. Although, a doctor friend of mine who works in New Jersey at St. John's Hospital, or Joe's, which is the one in Patterson? Joe's, St. Joe's Hospital, posted an infographic from the CDC yesterday. It was basically saying all of the COVID cases now that people are reporting are still unvaccinated people. The vaccine that we took and most people took still does protect a little bit from the Delta variant.
Yeah, that's why they're trying to do a booster.
Lindsay, that's my cousin. Thank you for the extended sub through February. Damn, we got her locked in.
It's weird that
that means we could not do anything until February, and she would still be subbing.
That sucks for her. It's weird to me that and I guess the same goes for my family, but it's probably not weird to you because you're weird. But your cousin Lindsay watches the show.
Yeah,
and I have no idea who she is. Not I know who she is, but I never met her. Mm-hmm. So she probably knows so much about me.
She does. When we were at, I guess, was it the last Thanksgiving that I had with my, so it would have been Thanksgiving of 2019.
Jeez.
She was telling me that she was caught up on all of the Dirty Little Secret podcast we had and all the podcasts. It was pretty cool. It's, even I want to make sure people don't think I take this for granted. I have a really great group of friends and family who have supported everything that we've done. I mean, Hav was in here before.
Well, he was ripping on you.
Yeah, that's fine.
He said in college, every day is lazy day for Anthony. In college, we used to call him Sloth or something.
Okay, they didn't. But yeah, I was actually super lazy.
You still are super lazy.
I don't think so.
Let's be fair.
I don't think so.
You're pretty lazy.
How?
Well, you had one chore every week.
Oh, to take out the garbage. I heard you doing that this morning. Yeah, you could do it.
I did.
It's not, and I want to point out,
you know what?
The garbage is on wheels. It's not that hard.
Yeah, but it's got to go up the little step. And not only that, I had to take the children to the doctor this morning.
You did take the kittens. Explain all of that stuff because we're about 3.5 minutes away from knowing whether or not we're going to have to take a shot.
Okay, and then we'll take a shot, and then we'll get into the gaslighting and therapy on national TV last night.
Okay. And we also have the birthday song coming up.
Ooh.
So if you've got kids around that like the birthday song, this is the time to bring them around.
Barney. We're going to sing I Love You Soon. So the kittens had to today is their alteration day. So Erica and John I took them to the vet this morning and I dropped them off and that's it. They could be under right now. I don't know. They could be being sliced into right now and snip, snip. Poor babies. But I'll tell you right now, I've had so much anxiety the last few days.
Start that over.
I've had so much anxiety the last few days. I'm like, why? And I think it's because of this. And it's not the actual surgery. It's the next 10 to 14 days. Because when I tell you these cats climb walls, I'm not kidding. They climb walls. They can't play for 14 days. And you try to tell a tiny little animal the most energy it's ever going to have that it can't do that. And clearly not understand, it's not going to understand me when I
Well, yeah, of course.
So
although
I try.
Carla, I think the most annoying thing about having these kittens in the house has nothing to do with the kittens themselves. Mm-hmm. It has to do with Carla Marie yelling at them, thinking they understand what she's trying to say. Yeah. And me sitting, I'll be in this room working on things and she'll be downstairs and I just hear Carla Marie scolding kittens, which makes no sense.
Before PETA comes after me, I'm not screaming at them.
I mean, Getting loud. You're getting loud.
But I literally go like full name with them. I'm like, Erica Shea Sullivan. Stop it. Or John Camucci. Or Jonathan. I don't even know what John's real name is.
It's not. It's just John.
I'm
Jon.
like, Jonathan, please stop doing that.
Nick asked if we've already released the info about Friday. We have not.
Thursday.
Because we can't until Thursday.
So anyway, I dropped them off with their onesies. So I ordered onesies from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And I dropped them off, and they will be put in little mini onesies so that they can still eat. Because when they have cones, they like can't eat, and that's a whole struggle. So they'll be in onesies, which I tested on them the other night, and they basically just fell over. So at least maybe they won't want to move.
Yeah.
And we built a cardboard door for my laundry room because in the laundry room there's nothing for them to jump on. In the bathroom they jump on the toilet, the back of the toilet, and then the windowsill, and they can't do that. So we literally have painter's tape holding up a cardboard door in my house right now. And yeah, that's the extent. I'm gonna have to just
when do they
monitor
come
them.
back?
I go get them later this afternoon.
Okay.
And then I think tonight I'm going to sleep on the couch so that I can check on them and hear if they're like screaming for any reason.
Sonali said that John's full name is John Philip Camucci. I'm assuming he said that at some point in the Almost On Air podcast.
That's a good name to yell. John Philip Camucci.
JPC?
Oh, JP. What? That's such a cool name.
JP? I'm going to start calling him JPC. I like that. Roro 1986. Robbie and Everett, Audrey the LNG, thank you guys all for getting us over the hump, which means we now have to take a shot. But to celebrate, because I saw that it is
I feel like we should shot and celebrate.
Coconut Love 75, and I believe Robbie and Everett also are celebrating a birthday.
Apparently we talked about John's name in Arizona. Hey, we matched today. I just looked at the screen.
What was that?
We matched.
Oh, we do. Kind of. That's a much darker green than I'm wearing.
Not on camera.
Let's see. What?
Yeah, and by the way, Anthony will be with all 4 cats while I am in Florida.
Yeah, that's going to suck. And then I have to go cat sit another cat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to be in charge of 5 cats staying alive for at least a couple days.
One day.
So for one day, I'll be in charge of 5 cats' lives. I don't like that at all.
5 cat lives, you could just say.
5 cats is...
No, just say 5 cat lives.
No, because each of them has 9.
45.
Right? So I'm
45.
not... I don't want to waste 5 of one cat's life.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to do a...
Are we repping the Jets? I hate the Jets.
You need to do a captain's log that day.
With all the cats?
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see what happens.
I haven't even... So I'm cat sitting. Like, basically, I just have to go feed my cat sitter's cat. And that last day, I haven't even told them, but Anthony's going to cover for me. They may say we don't want him.
And I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with
Yeah, you need to wear
the
cat daddy shirt.
I can do that. That I'll wear.
That day.
And I'll just take pictures. I'm going to go get our shot for the day.
Oh, I was like, I did.
No, not the Fauci ouchie. We did that one already.
The kittens are getting a rabies vaccination today. Caroline and Max got theirs yesterday. I wonder how people feel about that.
Do something other than cat talk. Go.
What? I could literally hold a conference on cat talk.
There's been a lot of cat stuff.
No, there hasn't. Well, I bet people don't know this. We've talked about this before. A lot of cats, including mine and the kittens, have cat herpes, which is not the same as human herpes, but it's basically like an allergy, and they get that a lot of times when they're feral cats. Like all of these were born outdoors, and it's just a thing that gets passed along. I could be getting this wrong, but it's something that's in their brain. They're totally fine. It doesn't affect how they live. They just sneeze and get eye boogers. So it's happening a lot in the house right now because they get flare-ups throughout the time, and like Erica and John are like super goopy, so I'm just like pulling boogers out of their eyeballs. And I have a little bump on my lip right now. It's like a pimple, but I'm like, oh my God, did I get herpes from them? Not possible, but I just keep saying it. Caroline and Max did already have their rabies vaccine. Yes, it was a booster. So like they get something yearly. I don't know. They did 2 shots yesterday. Rabies and leukemia, I believe. What the vet tells me, they do it. but like I have to monitor Max right now because she had a fever at the vet yesterday and she's had diarrhea. So like, it is a full-time job. Okay, we can't talk Bachelorette without Anthony. He has some great points, actually, because we did discuss a bit last night. Oh, I do have something that happened to me today. I was driving to drop off the kittens, and I was crying in my car this morning because I am just finishing, or actually just finished it, the Oral History of The Office, the podcast by Brian Baumgartner. And it was the second to last episode, and they're talking about their wrap party in Scranton. And I'm like, crying in the car this morning and laughing at myself for crying over this. And it was just all the emotions, but I finished it. So if anyone listened to it, reach out to me. I'm curious what you think. It's a really great. You have
another drink by you, right?
I can't do that.
You're going to have to.
No. Why couldn't you bring me anything?
Well, because, watch your foot, please. So this bottle of Wild Turkey Rare Breed barrel proof bourbon.
I'm sure. No. I don't even think. Did you like this?
No, I did. It is a little difficult to take a shot of, but this bottle, if you remember our friend Greg Chance from Iowa,
I remember.
If you happen to be in Des Moines, he was the one who programmed the KISS station, put Elvis on the station
107.5.
forever. He's not there anymore, but we visited him on the road trip. On our Fun Employment road trip, and he gifted me this bottle, mainly because he just wanted to get rid of it. He had a bunch of whiskey in his basement. Right. But this is it. I picked it because we're done with it now.
Oh, thank God.
So, Rare Breed. So, Wild Turkey is kind of like a cheaper bourbon, which if you just drink the regular Wild Turkey, not that great. But this one, if you like put it in a glass with some ice, not bad. What are you reading, Carla Marie?
Diana just decided to adopt her foster kitten.
Oh, no way. Congratulations.
Oh my God. I will help. DM me. I will help you with everything. I have a whole article on my blog about everything I use for my cats. And I'll also send you the exact link to the onesies that I got for their spay and neuter.
It's weird. You sound different when I don't have my headphones on than when I do. Like the mic processing makes you sound a little different. All right.
Well, come to the pop-up on Friday to find out what I really sound like.
By the time this song is over, Carla Marie, we've got to be done. In 3, 2, here we go.
I can't. Oh, wait.
Woo. Did you finish it? Uh-oh. Are you going to throw up? This isn't good. Where are you going? Oh my God. That was a little difficult. What? I can't. There's nothing. What are you doing? Go grab a drink from downstairs. It's tough. That's a rough one to take a shot of.
I gotta be back in a second.
I don't know if anyone heard that, but she said, I gotta be back in a second. Well, guys, this is fun. I wish we had like a 27-foot mic cable and I could just give her the mic. I am, by the way, just got to change subject at some point. Tonight, I'm going to see the premiere or the screening of the new Suicide Squad movie. So on Thursday, I will have a review. And the movie companies have been really cool with us, and they gave us a bunch of different like things that we could put on the screen and use on social. And I'm wondering, because they gave us access to like the official trailers and stuff that they have, if I should play the trailer, which is like 2 minutes, and then do the review. We do have wireless mics. They're not set up right now, though. So would that make like the review more official if I did the... Oh, she's back. What you got there? A banana? A nanner? Did that help?
Yeah. You're done with the alcohol picking.
That's fine.
Sticking to whatever Seattle Cocktail Club says.
All right. So that's out of the way.
It truly, like not even joking, felt like I drank chemicals. Like my tongue was burning. And
it burns
then,
a little
the
bit,
water, I knew I couldn't swallow it because I knew it was only going to taste worse. I was just drinking water and spitting it in the sink.
Here's the problem. We have too many bottles in the house, and I'm just trying to get rid of stuff. And that was a bottle that if we didn't drink it right now, probably
get drunk off that.
was not going to be finished. All right, Texas Chris says yes, the trailer, and then the review. Okay. So I'll try that on Thursday and see how that looks. Because I'm going to have my review of the Suicide Squad movie.
Can't wait.
Someone had asked for the Spider-Man trailer. When is Spider-Man coming out?
Oh. I'm bummed that I can't go to tonight. What is it called?
Suicide Squad?
Here we go. Suicide Squad, because I have to stay home with the children after their surgery. I'm starting to feel it. But there's are you doing the axe throwing thing before it?
I'm not, yeah.
There's a Suicide Squad axe throwing thing before the media premiere.
Mainly because everyone I know is either working out of town or is trying to stay home because of the new COVID variant.
Oh, dear Jesus.
So, I asked a bunch of people, and everyone was like, and the problem was it was me and 3 friends. So, first off, asking me to find 3 friends in Seattle is difficult enough to begin with. But trying to find 3 friends in Seattle who can leave kind of at the end of the workday and also aren't concerned with COVID.
People are still working? What? Just kidding. So, I don't know if you saw this news story. So Paul Rudd is in India filming the next Ant-Man.
Oh, cool.
Is it Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium?
Whatever. The next one. Ant-Man 3.
He was seen at an Indian restaurant with Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek.
Oh, no way.
And people are like...
Dan is the son, right?
Yeah.
Eugene is the dad.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
People are like, is Dan Levy in the next Ant-Man?
That would be great.
I will
If Dan Levy can get himself into the MCU, which is, I think, getting yourself into the MCU is basically every actor's dream at this point. Because once you get in, there's a good chance that a second or a third movie and a whole lot of money from Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
A shout out real quick to Meet Me by the Water.
No, don't, because they're just trying to do weird shit.
Oh, it's a first time chatter. Would I eat earwax as toothpaste?
No, would you use earwax as toothpaste for a year for $2 million? Yes.
A year? I don't know.
Have you ever licked your own earwax?
No.
Okay. Well, I have, so I would do it.
Okay. We addressed it, and now we move on.
Anyway, how do I get into the Marvel Universe?
Be an actress first, or actor first, whatever you want to call yourself, and then be really good at it.
I would just like to clarify that shit that I took a shot of is still making its way down to my tummy. I feel when I tell you there's a fire swirling,
it burns. It's wild turkey. That's what it does.
So I want to get into the gaslighting and Bachelorette and what happened, but Lenny brought up something that I've been meaning to bring up, and I want to talk about it. The Scarlett Johansson lawsuit.
Yeah.
So Black Widow premiered a few weeks ago. Excuse me, that was right into the microphone.
Yeah, that was gross.
Black Widow premiered a few weeks ago. Scarlett Johansson is Black Widow. She is currently suing Disney because in her contract, it lists out a specific bonus structure. So we in radio, in our contracts, also had bonus structures. If your ratings in radio, or if she get X amount of dollars in the box office, you get extra money. So as a radio host and as an actor, you promote your movie more, knowing you're going through all this media stuff for the movie, and you're like, you know what? I'm spending 12 hours a day talking to hosts from all over the world, getting the same bullshit questions about my movie in hopes that this pays off. You do that for free in hopes that more people go to the box office and it pays off. What Disney did, which they never ever revealed that they were going to do to her in signing this contract, is, all right, Black Widow hits theaters and hits Disney Plus streaming the same day.
Yes. And obviously that was a post-COVID thing. I'm sure the contract was signed pre-COVID.
Most likely.
And that happened post-COVID because they tried that. That's what they did with Mulan. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the first time.
It was no one went to the theater. It was supposed to have a huge release.
But I think that was the first time they did a big release, a big blockbuster release through the app, through the streaming service.
No, it's not free on Disney Plus, Allison, but I don't know what she makes off of the Disney Plus streams, but her bonus structure is likely bigger than the percentage she will make from Disney Plus. So her argument is, no. Like, all this money you just got, Disney, from Disney Plus, you just took away from people going to the movie theater, which takes away from my bonus structure. And good on her for fighting for that, because so many times bonus structures are thrown at you, at least in the radio industry, as a way to hush you and not try to fight you. Like, you don't want to fight for more salary. It's like, oh, I like the bonus structure. And then they're like, every day you're not getting people to listen on our app. You're not getting people to go to our website. And it's like, but I don't make money off of that. So why would I fight for that?
And
you put this in here for a reason.
Court in Spokane in the Twitch chat said it's frustrating. The frustrating thing is that no one made a big deal about John Krasinski and Emily Blunt suing Paramount related to A Quiet Place 2, but the media has blown up about Scarlett Johansson suing Disney. There are a couple reasons that I would assume that happened. 3 mainly. The Marvel franchise is bigger than A Quiet Place 2. I would put, if I was to rank those 3 names, John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, and Scarlett Johansson,
ScarJo.
I would put ScarJo at the top.
Yeah.
Biggest name. John Krasinski is probably the most actually well known.
He has my heart.
But I don't think people fully know his name. He's just Jim from The Office.
Just from The Office.
And then you also, I think people care more about Disney than they do Paramount. I think Disney always has a target on its back.
Disney getting sued, you're like, oh, what's going on?
So is it fair? No. But is it understandable from a media headline standpoint? Probably. You know what I mean? Like, those 3 factors make it a bigger deal than A Quiet Place 2. And
Mello.
A Quiet Place 2 also came out a couple months ago before everything was open.
And a lot, like Mello talks about, like, well, isn't her base salary 20 to 30 million? But how does that compare to the other actors who had their own Marvel movies? I don't know. I'd assume it's probably not the same.
No, and here's the thing. Even if that is her base salary.
But a contract is a contract.
Exactly. And
oftentimes, at least for us, the contract always benefits the employer, never the employee. And you can't do anything without signing a contract, and it's bullshit. But I mean, ultimately, in the end, the contract is what hurt us the most.
Well, and also, this is something that happens in sports too.
Bitter about this,
right? This is something that happens in sports a lot of times, where a player will leave a team because they were only getting $20 million and they wanted $30 million, whatever it happens to be, whatever the crazy money for us is. But the argument that I will always make is, if a company was willing to pay Scarlett Johansson $20 to $30 million for this movie, think about how much money they're making.
Yep.
If a team is willing to pay someone $150 million over the course of 3 years, 4 years, think about how much money the team is making. So, yes, that money is life-changing for us, but we're also not in that world. And once you get to that place, you're fighting for what you know the market value is, and you're fighting for what is in your contract. And I think that's where whether it's John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, or Scarlett Johansson, I want them to win, because when employees win over corporations, it's good for everybody at the end of the day. It sets a precedent where people have more power than the corporations. And I think that's something that does benefit all of us, unless you're in this chat and you own a corporation, then it doesn't benefit you. No. And I'm talking multi-million-dollar multinational corporation.
This would be a great place to advertise.
It would be, except we don't like you as a business owner.
As an entity.
But we'll probably, slang your company's company line.
Okay.
What else do we have here?
All right. I think it's
I'm
time.
trying to see.
I responded, but Meet Me by the Water, who just joined and asked the earwax question, said, do you guys are you on YouTube? And I said, we're on demand on YouTube. That is the best place to watch our show for free. We post that a few hours after the show is live on Twitch.
And that's because it takes so damn long to get something on YouTube. Granted, our videos are an hour and a half long sometimes.
And we want to also be like, hey, you're paying to watch on demand on Twitch, or you put in the time to watch live. Like, it shouldn't just be there available on YouTube for everyone else.
Also, Zadie21, charging $30 along with the Disney Plus subscription is a ripoff. I
Total
totally
rip.
agree, and that's why I have not done any of the Disney
movie
Plus like premieres or
releases.
anything.
I was trying to surprise Anthony and take him to a drive-in theater to go see Black Widow, and then I realized the drive-in theaters here are so far away, and they can't start until super late because it's sunny out until like midnight here.
Yeah.
And then we'd be getting home at like 3 a.m. and I was not about to do that.
Yeah. And the crazy thing, and this is where, along with that, charging $30 for Disney Plus for like Mulan or what was this one? Black Widow.
Yeah.
The Black Widow Scarlett Johansson thing always messes with my brain because I want to say Scarlet Widow because it's also a color.
Scarlet Witch.
And there's Scarlet Witch. Anyway, I digress. The interesting thing is, I think one of the things that Scarlett Johansson is also fighting for is the movie company makes way more, Disney makes way more money off of that $30 they're charging for the subscription than the $13 to $20 they're going to charge for a movie ticket.
Right.
So they're actually
they're
making
hurting-
more on what they've decided to do with splitting the theaters and subscriptions and giving her less.
And they are directly hurting small businesses and communities. Like, think about this. Okay, yeah, AMC, they're big companies, but some of these movie theaters are smaller. Like, we have Majestic Bay here in Ballard. It is a very small movie theater. So they are directly hurting these businesses. Now, okay, you think AMC is a big company, but AMC employs people. And
AMC almost went bankrupt also.
And what's around AMC? Restaurants. Whether they are your Cheesecake Factories or your mom and pop shops. People go, like, it's an event. So by directly streaming, you don't realize the domino effect that is happening in small communities around America.
Yeah. And I think the model that Disney has is, okay, well, if a family was going to take, their two kids and a kid's friend to the movie theater, they'd be paying way more than $30.
It is a lot of money. I get that.
I also just like going to the movies. Like, I hope they don't go away. And I think we'll see a shift. There might be less movie theaters, just like there are less drive-in theaters, but they still kind of exist.
I think they're going to come back.
But I love going to the movie. I love getting the gigantic thing of popcorn and being sick by the time I finish it. But also,
the pee problem.
and we'll move on from the movies after this. The interesting thing for me tonight when I go see this premiere or screening of Suicide Squad is I'm trying to do this intermittent fasting thing, which I didn't realize how many people.
Popcorn by what time?
Well, I would have to finish the popcorn by like 7:30. I think the movie does start at 7, so I could do a little bit, right? Like I can get a small popcorn and soda and have that, but I also have this meal plan that I've been trying to stick to, which I can deviate from. It's fine. But that'll be interesting for me because I'll just have to sit there in a seat without any sort of thing to take my nervous energy away. And Suicide Squad's probably going to end up being a 2-hour movie.
Can you sip? Oh, you can have.
I can have water, which is I'll maybe take a bottle of water with me. But yeah, if I wait until the movie's over, which will be like 9:30, then I won't be able to eat the next day until after 1:00.
Well,
which would suck.
10 a.m. here and I haven't eaten. Well, I had a banana.
You had a nanner.
Amanda said, I thought you guys were on 8 a.m. Normally, yes, we made a programming change today because I had to bring my foster kittens to get their snip this morning. So here we are. We started at 9:30. And those asking me, if you're just joining, we haven't done the Bachelorette conversation yet. We're about to do it.
This is something that is going to get a lot of people riled up. I want to clear the cup. I just realized that
Meet by the water. We can answer this normally now. It said, are they married or are they just friends? I'm just new.
Neither. Done.
Neither. For like close to 10 years, we were just friends. And June. Oh my God. In June, we announced that we have been dating since before COVID hit. That's the best way to explain. And people kind of lost their minds. There's a whole video on our YouTube channel of the announcement day. You can check it out. But it's crazy that like there are people now joining this journey.
Yeah.
Here today in this moment. And there are people who have been here since 2010 riding the radio and podcast curve with us when we weren't dating.
And all of that is available on YouTube. You can go watch that video instead of recapping it for everyone that already knows our story. But yeah, that is on YouTube. It's Carla Marie Anthony Show on YouTube.
Yes. And Meet Me by the Water. What is your real name and where are you from? You'll see a lot of people in here have their real name and where they're from or their Instagram handles so that we know who they are.
like Lenny from Queens, Claire and Olympia.
Oh,
And for everyone who is in the Washington area, especially Western Washington, listen, if you want to drive from Spokane, you're more than welcome. But Friday, we are doing an event with our friends Seattle Cocktail Club. We have not announced, well, they have not announced where that location is going to be, but it will be in the Seattle area of some sort. So if you can get yourself to Seattle by like 4 or 5 o'clock on a Friday, you'll be safe, basically.
And it's a Boozy Bodega pop-up with Chef Shota from he was on Top Chef. He was a finalist. And he's going to be cooking chicken sandwiches, sesame chicken sandwiches, I believe. And there will be to-go cocktails. And we'll just be there hanging out the whole time or until they, run out of food. I'm going to drop the link in here. If you sign up for this link, you'll get a message right away when the location is announced. We're also going to announce it during the show on Thursday.
And our newsletter.
We do not know the location because they refuse to tell me because they don't trust me.
I have like 4 places in my brain that I think it could be. I'm not going to say what they are because if I nail one of them, I don't want to ruin it. But I've got like 4 places. I'm like, I think it could be around here, around this neighborhood.
Oh, Chris is coming.
That's awesome. So it's 4 to 7. No. Yeah, 4 to 7 is what it'll be open for unless they sell out of everything. Before that, then they're going to close up shop because there's no reason for anyone to be there anymore.
And it is free to come to the event. And if you buy food, then you have to pay money. That's how that works. But you can come hang out for free.
So Seattle Cocktail Club said in the chat on Twitch, we want to hear the places you think it is.
Me?
No, me, because I said I have 4 places. Okay, I just want confirmation from Seattle Cocktail Club, and I'll wait a couple seconds because there is a delay. Would you get mad if one of the neighborhoods that I said is the actual place? Because I'm going to give you 4. So I'll wait.
We kind of do know. I'll say that. We do know a neighborhood that it is. They did let me know that. Well,
we know.
I know. That's true. It could be one of 2 neighborhoods.
Okay, so they're not going to get mad? I forgot what question I asked.
Get mad. Go. What are your places?
I think
it's just
there's actually a place where we did an event with the radio station. Actually, our friend's radio station. This was when Jack FM, our friend Ben was programming Jack FM. And they did a pop-up with, I think it was Jack Fire or Fireball, one of the 2.
That was in Georgetown.
And it was in Georgetown. And I think the Georgetown area is like prime for a cool event like that. So that's one of the 4. And if you're not from Seattle, these are all, was a neighborhood in Seattle closer to the airport.
Hey, bud, hurry up. We got to do gaslighting conversation.
Okay. Ballard, which is where Carla Marie and I live, has a lot of breweries. Yeah. And there used to be a distillery down the street. There are a lot of places in Ballard that it could happen. And there's that Bergen, plaza.
I feel like it's
that little park that you could put a huge pop-up bodega there.
But I feel like it has to be attached to a business. Personally, I think.
Why?
Because how do you is that legal?
I mean, if you're in a park, you just get a permit for it. And in Georgetown, there's a ton of breweries and things you could do. Then there's also downtown Seattle, which is always an option for an event, but it's also
downtown.
I don't think it has a ton of personality. So even though that's one of my 4.
Thank you. I was right. You can't drink in a park without a ton of permits. You can't sell drinks in a park either.
Oh. So maybe it's not. That throws everything off.
All right. We're just
all right. I'll give you my 3. Those were my 3.
All right.
Ballard, downtown Seattle, or Georgetown.
It's time for Bachelorette conversation. I needed something to segue.
Oh, okay.
So last night on The Bachelorette, it was hometowns. Katie met with Blake's family. She met with Justin's friends because his family wasn't there. And I would say that was probably the most personable we've seen Justin.
Justin really won me over last night. And here's the craziest thing is they showed Justin speaking to his mom.
On the phone.
On speakerphone. And clearly his parents were not sold on the idea that he could find the woman that he would be with for the rest of his life on this show in such a short amount of time. And I get that from a parental standpoint or for someone who cares about the host or the contestants. I get that. But the thing that she said that was super weird, or maybe it was his dad that said it, was, how are you going to fall in love with someone and marry them
which has been the conversation for 15 years.
Yeah, in 6 weeks without meeting their families or seeing what they're like.
And that was the whole.
But then they didn't show up. So it was like they were arguing against themselves.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
In the whole process.
So whatever. Like, okay, that seemed like a big deal at the time. And then Greg's family shows up. And it's such a great meeting between Katie and his mom. And he's like crying and like telling his family like she's not there. And like, she's the one. Like, I've never felt this way about a girl before. I haven't been this happy in years since his dad died. And I believe his dad died when he was younger. Mm-hmm. And he's like, blah, 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 like all this stuff. And then Katie meets with the brother and the brother says he's never talked to anyone about our dad passing. And I think that's an important thing we'll get back to, but the brother says he has never talked to anyone about our dad. Now, mind you, Greg is 27 years old. It's been at least 10 years since his dad has passed.
Probably, yeah.
And okay, so that's great. Like, he clearly feels something with Katie.
Greg's dad died a couple of years ago.
Sorry, I thought he was a kid.
Well, that's according to court.
Okay, so either way, it's been a few years. He talks about not playing basketball since his dad died. Like, that's why it's part of their date. It's an all-around great experience. Like, you're like, oh my God, Greg is the one, right? Then he and Katie have a moment. And he, like, kind of pours his heart out to her. And he's like, you filled a hole in my heart. Mm-hmm. And he, like, is truly, like, opening up to her. And her response.
Google said he died in 2018.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm completely wrong on that. So it's been 3 years. Okay. First person he's talked to, 3 years. He opens up to her and she says nothing.
Yeah. That was so all we can do as spectators of the show. And I know Carla Marie has talked to Katie on and off throughout this process. I have not, other than like a couple random text messages here and there. We hung out with her once, but
okay,
we haven't asked her.
We
haven't about
ever.
Yeah. We haven't asked her about the actual show, really, or I haven't. Mm. So all we can do as spectators, as fans of her and the show she's on, is go by what we have seen on the show. And although Katie didn't owe Greg anything when he spilled his heart, it didn't look the best for her because it looks the way it's edited that she's just staring back and not saying anything at all. Now, is that actually what happened? We don't know, but based on what we see...
I love looking at your face.
What, me?
Katie said that.
Oh.
I love looking at your face.
Oh, I forgot she said that.
Which is like, honestly, okay, in that moment and that moment only, I felt for Greg. And if, again, what we saw.
Exactly.
I don't know, like, we take all of this with a grain of salt because it's fucking TV. So... I have been in that situation where I am Greg, Anthony is Katie, and not necessarily like on the pot. Like, there have been times like we're fine now, but like if we'll get into an argument, you just won't say anything, and I'm like, I need you to respond to me because I am giving you emotion, and I think both of us have learned how to argue better in that. Like, you'll give me emotion, but I also won't try to force it out of you because that's not who you are.
Yeah.
In that situation, and I think. We're looking at two people who have known each other for less than 2 months, trying to cope with their emotions and real emotions. And it's an awkward situation. So, like, when she just says, I love looking at your face, like, that's all she could think in that moment because a man just poured her heart out. She doesn't want to be the person that's like, I love you too, and I feel this, and you also fill a hole in my heart, and I'm so grateful to be that because there's 2 other men expecting the same from her.
And there's a caveat. If you have not watched the season at all, Katie has been very stern about saying, I'm not going to say I love you to anyone because that's something I should save for that final person. Now, that is
I've said I love you to a lot of people.
I totally get it. And I understand where Katie is coming from. And listen, I'm not a huge fan of the whole Bachelorette franchise, so I don't know how other episodes or seasons have gone. But from the guy's perspective, because what every guy you hear say in the episode yesterday is, oh, I'm going to get down on one knee, right? I would definitely get down on one knee. I would definitely ask her to marry me, blah, blah, blah. How do you balance as a guy who is expected to do that? Although I guess at the end of the show, if you're the only one, you know. But anyway.
Well, you're not. Normally it's 2 guys and she shows up and they kind of propose and then she says no.
Okay.
Is how the show generally goes.
So for the married men in here, how do you balance knowing that you're on this game show, this love dating game show, with the fact that you're supposed to develop a real lasting relationship from it,
Right.
and get down on one knee without hearing those words from the person that you're trying to win?
And I agree with that.
I understand why Katie is not doing it, but I also understand at this point in the show, which when we watched yesterday, there were 3 people left. I understand how all 3 of them can struggle with not hearing those words. Does that make sense?
I completely agree with that 100%. But here, my other take is, I just Googled to make sure. The Bachelor started in 2002. This show has been around for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
We know the formula. It
Of
was
course.
first like a lot of, I know, I think it was Amanda O'Brien was tweeting at me going, I think Greg just wanted Katie to pull a Claire, which happened on the last season of The Bachelorette, where Claire is just like, a few weeks in, I found my guy, I'm going home. Now, I don't know this, but I am willing, I don't know this for a fact at all, but I'm willing to bet that since that happened, there's something in their contracts that say if you leave early, you don't get paid. And it's not about always money at the end of the day, but when you leave your job and your career for this, like, I'm sure there's a new caveat to their contracts. I'm like, and I swear
like
in my life, Katie's never told me this.
Like the Claire clause.
The Claire clause. It's got to be in there. And she's probably struggling with something like that. Like, if I leave 2 weeks now, like if I leave 2 weeks out, I don't get paid for a year. I have a mortgage, a life to live, you know, her own health, her
Also,
cat,
you don't get the ring.
and you don't get the ring.
Because isn't that something they said to Jason in Jason and Molly's season?
If
There
you
was
don't
something
propose
about,
now, you'll never get the chance to do this again, and you won't get the ring if you do it like later or whatever.
and that was to go back, and this is more deep. This is deeper into the Bachelor like cult, but Jason wasn't sure if he wanted to marry Molly or whatever the other girl's name was. And they basically said, if you don't pick now, the whole like dream wedding, the ring, all of that goes away. You're more than welcome to make your decision, but those are all gone once the show is over.
Right.
So that could be another thing too. You lose out on a lot of that stuff.
So yes, in that moment after like Greg and Katie had this interaction, they go to like a dark hallway and they're talking, like you can see them, just their shadows, and we're just reading them out on the screen. It's a very real conversation. He's like, you're not giving me anything. And she's like, well, like, why are you doubting us? And she's like, I'm telling you, you're going to be here next week. And he starts like putting up like that's not what I'm asking for. And she's trying to give it to him. She's trying to tell him how she feels and try to fill what he wants without actually saying what he wants in that moment. Like, you're going to be here next week. Like, clearly it's you. Someone else is going home. This is the only way I can tell you. Like, that's how I got that.
She basically tried to say, I love you and I want you to win this, without saying, I love you and I want you to win this. And I know the internet has dragged Greg, and this is something that Carla and I are going to disagree a little bit about. I think what we watched was a combination of someone who wasn't ready to say I love you and expected something in return that he knew he couldn't get.
He wasn't ready.
Because, and I've said this a lot, when you start involving family and friends in a relationship, things change. And the first time that we actually heard Greg say, I need to hear I love you, or I want to tell her I love you, how am I supposed to propose without knowing that, was when he talked to his mom about the relationship. And yeah, the producers probably give the family members and friends questions to pump in and get the drama going.
Of course.
And his whole demeanor changed when his mom and his family and his friends got involved. The other thing that I think we're seeing, so I think the first part of Greg's downfall was he opened up probably the most he's ever let anyone in, also on camera.
Right. It's a
which
lot.
is tough.
It's a lot. He clearly
And he didn't get what so that's part one. Part two, he didn't get what he wanted back or what he expected. And part three, and we've talked about this before, that show is built to break people. And I think we finally saw all of those things come together.
Right.
And I think he broke as this is sad. I think he broke as a human.
She talks about it last night. Like, he showed up so nervous, and every time
Yeah.
they met, he was always like he was very, like, so unsure of himself, but falling in love. And, like, I get that. But the next day or 2 days later or whatever it was, because they keep saying the other night in their next conversation, their final conversation.
Are they not allowed to see each other for days at a time?
Well, how we saw the editing, we don't know. Like, his date could have actually been after Blake's, and then it could have been Justin's.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Got
so,
it.
like, there
Yeah,
could be a day or two in between. And a lot of times, like, if you're a person on the show and you're like, I want to see them, it depending on the situation, like, you can't. We're not letting you. So that'll happen. And I've been told that before by a few people who have been on the show. Like, even if you want to go see with someone, the producers won't let you. And that sucks. Because, like, could you imagine, like, oh, we just got into a fight and I want to go see Anthony, and someone's like, you can't go see him. And now Anthony's sitting in his room thinking, I don't want to talk to him, but I do. So there's a lot of that happens that none of us will ever understand.
Oh, yeah. And he did see the date with Blake.
That's why I said that had to have probably happened first.
Yeah.
So he goes and sees Katie in her room, which has happened, I think, more than any other season
They
ever.
should have built like a waiting room in Katie's room.
And he shows up, and in my opinion, and especially going back, I watched it again this morning, he's very accusatory in that he's trying to say to her, I told you this, and you didn't give me what I wanted,
Exactly.
and it's your fault. And we kind of talked about this last night, and you had a great point, is that, like, we can't expect, like, we have these high expectations for people, and if they don't give us what we want, a lot of times it's not their fault.
No, it's on us because we created an expectation to begin with. Instead of saying, this is how I feel, I'm going to say it. And this is, listen, I'm guilty of it. I'm sure you're guilty of it. I'm sure everyone watching is guilty of this. No one's perfect. But when we make ourselves vulnerable, we expect the world to act accordingly to what we have decided should happen next. And that's not the point of vulnerability. Vulnerability means I'm going to say the things that I mean. I'm going to be my true self regardless of what happens next.
Yeah.
And that part of it, and Greg is what, 24?
27.
He's 27 years old?
I know.
He's a little older than I thought.
I know.
But still,
You were at your best at 27.
I was probably my worst at 27. But what I wanted to say was, it is very tough, even though we can put this situation in a vacuum and we can plot out exactly how everyone should act. But when your emotions are on the line, for Katie and for Greg, you do things that sometimes you will look back on later and say, that probably wasn't the best way I should have acted. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the way I should have presented myself or my thoughts or my opinions or my feelings. And I think what we saw yesterday was two people who are on different pages, expecting different things, but expecting that from the other person.
Yeah, and I've been on both sides of it. I think we all have at some point. It's interesting being a fly on the wall watching it. I wasn't always a great arguer. I'd willing to say that you in your 20s probably were very similar to Greg.
I was the worst. No, I was way worse.
And so it's like, we can't, he's a human, right? But the way he started treating her and I told my mom you were the one, and then basically fuck you. It's basically what he did.
It was a real weird turnaround.
And that's where I was like, fuck you, dude. Like, don't talk to her like that. And that's where you see a lot of like the gaslighting happen. I know some people say it's not gaslighting. I saw a hint of it where it's very much like trying to convince her that what she did was wrong, and it was just...
Maybe it's like charcoal lighting, not gas lighting.
Maybe.
There's a lighting of some sort.
It was a grease fire.
It was gas releasing. It was gas releasing.
Okay.
He farted.
A gas emitting. Yeah. Basically, that's what happened. But Amanda, he did start to get very mean, and that's where I'm like, and there goes that bullet she just dodged. And then she follows him outside, which I will admit I would have probably done the same thing, because it's like, that's how we're going to end this. Mm-hmm. That's how it's going to end. She follows him outside, and I'm like, someone's got to be directing her, because like, how the hell did she know where he went?
There's a lot of stairwells.
Every time she's probably feels so bad. She's got
a Salvatore Dali painting where there's like the stairwells going everywhere? That's what that building looks like for a second.
But so many people are talking about this, and I wonder what you think. I was like weird at first, but when I saw
what is it?
He's sitting on a chair outside and she gets down basically on her knees and is talking to him and like resting her hands on his leg.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, hell no, girl, you get up. You do not get on your knees to basically, it was not that she was begging for him back. It was like, please stay. It was just like, is this how it's going to end? I was like, it's got to be a camera thing. Like if she's just standing there looking at him, like, it's got to be a weird thing where the camera guy was standing above her and she knows at this point. And I don't know. Haven't talked to her about this. I mean,
ideally, Greg would have picked up one of those billion chairs that were around that were flipped upside down and let her sit. I think if the option is there to stand or comfortably kneel and lean, I would take comfortably kneel and lean.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, I think there's a lot of people like reading into that where it didn't matter.
Court said, I think it was just more on his level and how he could be in a weird spot. Yeah, because it was very spontaneous. I don't know. I don't think that was her like trying to beg him to stay.
He also said make love.
Oh, yeah, he did say make love. We were both like,
we're supposed to make love.
So do I think that Greg went into the season with good intentions? Yes. Do I think Greg was emotionally available and ready for this? No. Do I think Greg had feelings for Katie? Yes.
Absolutely, I think he did.
Absolutely. Were they real? Absolutely. And there's a tweet that I wanted to read that I thought like explained a lot of this very well.
Go for it.
It said Greg had not spoken to anyone about his father's death before he spoke to Katie. His entire happiness and sense of self-worth cannot be Katie's responsibility. Greg, like many men, needs therapy.
I agree. And I would actually go with many people needs therapy.
Yeah.
Not that men are fucking great because they're not, but I do think that. I think that tweet, the beginning part of it nails it on the head is nope. Hits it on the head, nails it. What am I trying to say?
Hits you don't the nail on the head.
Yeah, there we go. Wow. Just because Greg has now decided in this moment that he's going to open up and be vulnerable and connect his happiness to Katie is not Katie's responsibility. Is it something that Katie as a person probably feels responsible for a little bit? Absolutely, because we all do, right? We all have that hero complex where if we can make someone's life better, we're like better for it somehow. But all of that baggage that Greg brought and dumped on Katie's doorstep is not her responsibility. Yes. And keep in mind, if this guy lost his father 3 years ago, there's a grieving period that I'm sure losing your parent at such a young age takes way more than 3 years to really get over. Katie's only known him for 5 weeks at this point, 6 weeks. All of that stuff from the 3 years prior is not Katie's responsibility.
It is insane. Yeah. Court just said something that I think is very important and it's not that what Court said is cliche, but we hear it often, but it's so true.
What is it?
Court said, yes, I said that when his family said that he was so happy with her. Court said to her husband, that can't last because he needs to know how happy he is on his own before he can be happy with Katie or anyone else.
Absolutely.
And shameless plug here right now. I'm going to put the link in here in a second. I was on the latest episode of Life with Law with Lady Law from, she's in Phoenix. She used to be on the radio. She just opened up her own shave ice. You'll learn all of it in the podcast, but we talk a lot about that and how like she's in a relationship. We just like announced our relationship, and a lot of it for the two of us was we've known each other for some time, Law and I, and it was very much like we don't need someone else. And I talk a lot about how Anthony helped me understand that I don't need someone else to be happy. It's an additive to my life, and it's amazing. I'll still be me and function throughout life if I didn't have him. That doesn't mean it would suck and life isn't, a
relationship is, I believe this, a relationship is going to be the strongest when both people are happy before they met each other.
Yes.
Right? If you are dependent on someone else to make you happy or bring you out of your rut, that is the ground, that is the basis, the groundwork for a toxic relationship, because then you don't see yourself as valuable without that person. And that's any relationship. That's work, that's family, that's romantic relationships, whatever it happens to be. if you don't see yourself as valuable without those relationships,
Nope.
you're not going to be more valuable with those relationships.
And for us personally, it's like, it's double because we've also built a brand. And it's like, well, what is my brand? What is my talent without Anthony?
Yeah.
And we've done our best to separate that. Doesn't mean that we have things to work on in personal, professional aspects. But like, if I wasn't happy and fully understanding of who I was, this relationship wouldn't work out. I think I was still learning a lot of it when we got together, but having our relationship made me realize, okay, this is amazing. But if we're not in this, my whole world isn't like, I'm not going to just die.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be. And that is what I think Court was trying to say, that like Mike needs, Mike, not her husband, Greg doesn't understand that yet.
And Greg's still unpacking a lot of his own emotions. And I will go back to, it's so easy in this show. And I 100% have been guilty of this in the 3 seasons total that I've watched. It's so easy to be on the outside of it, see something that happens, then gets edited and then gets thrown into our faces and judge people. I think we all need to have a little bit of grace and understand, like I've said many times, that show is built to break you. Mm-hmm. That show is built for drama. And that show has producers that are there to make sure you get the most drama and the most broken person possible. So
it's 100% true.
Did Greg handle himself properly? From what we saw, absolutely not.
I mean, our own bosses wanted us at our worst every time.
Did Greg do what many men specifically do when they're hurt? He absolutely did. Is that right? No, it's not. But we saw that was a window into that. You know? And it's tough. Did he act right? No. DJ Senth in the Twitch chat said, I think Blake still has a chance. He's really good at comforting Katie when she's down because he's a vulture. Look at what he did when Connor got let go.
Yeah.
Again, vulture.
When she
and listen, I'm not trying to say Blake is a bad person.
No,
that's not what I'm saying at all.
It's not a bad person at all, but he's just always been there.
Yeah.
Which listen,
I swear to you, I was expecting Connor.
Nope.
Yeah, or not Connor. What the hell's his name?
Oh my God, you're the worst, Blake.
Blake. I read Connor before. I was expecting Blake, as Katie was like running through the hallways, to be like, "Oh hey,
no, vulture,
what's up?"
Steal her.
Yeah.
It's his claws.
Do you think the producers are like, Blake, no, this is not your time. Yeah. Just sit in your room.
Probably.
Sit in your hands and be still. I think.
I don't know.
So now there's a lot. So there's 3 options really, right? There's Katie doesn't pick someone next week. Oh, and by the way, fast forward. Greg walks out. He's done with the show. Katie's heartbroken.
Oh, and then, because I got to go to the chiropractor. I need to get this out. What was that? Bullshit montage at the end. We get bloopers every week. And after we're upset and we're crying, we're like, oh, what bloopers are we going to get? Like last week after Mental All was great. The guys having fun. They hit us with a montage of Katie and Greg's.
There's the in memoriam.
It was horrendous.
And listen, I get it from listen, it was terrible. I think it was cut poorly. I think it was bad content. But I get what the producers were doing in like, oh, there's heartbreak. See how this heartbreak ends next week. I get that part because it's hard to go from what just happened on the show to being like, oh, here's some wacky, stupid clips.
I have a theory.
Okay.
I really do.
Greg comes back.
No, my theory is that because they can edit this whenever they want. They could have edited it yesterday, part of it. Mm-hmm. I think that they are trying to open up all their options for the next Bachelor. Right? We've got Michael A. and Andrew S. are clearly front runners right now.
I'm in for both of them. I would be equally happy with either one.
I think Michael A. is probably struggling with the idea because he has a child, right?
Yeah, but Jason did it. Mesnick.
It's different. Jason had a ex-wife who could take care of the kid.
I thought they brought the kid out. No?
I don't know that Ty was always there. I could be wrong, but I don't think Ty lived at the Bachelor mansion.
Okay.
But because I remember there were being moments where you're like, "Yay, he's here." Could be wrong though. So I think they're like, we need options. Okay. we just witnessed Greg. Like, Bachelor Nation right now is like, fuck that guy. We don't want him as our next bachelor. How is he going to take care of all these women that we now love, blah, 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 etc. And they're like, let's put this montage at the end. So everyone's like, oh, he did actually fall in love with her. And that's my theory.
I need to say this because I think there have been heartbroken people who have done dumb things many times in history.
Yeah.
Heartbreak makes people stupid.
Yep.
And I think the more heartbroken you are, and I think there's a direct correlation, the stupider you are for men and women.
Stupider is not a word.
I think no, the more dramatic and stupid you are.
I'm just saying I don't think stupider is a word.
Oh. Well, that whatever.
Okay.
Exactly. His feelings were there. His feelings were real, but his reactions were wrong. Thank you, Lisa, in the Twitch chat. I'm going to put you on the spot, and then we're going to go. Blake, Justin, or no one?
Oh, that's tough because, like, honestly, I like Justin out of nowhere now.
I think I've always liked Justin. I don't know if I liked him for Katie.
That's fair. I kind of
want to. He was never a bad. I'll say this. Justin has never been the bad guy on one episode.
No.
Has there ever been one
Justin as Bachelor just so I can see his faces.
He does have great reactions. Has Justin ever had a negative interaction on the show?
No.
I can't think of one. Yeah, he does the...
Oh my God, my arm just looks
He does
huge.
the eyes.
Okay. I'm going to go with no one. I want it to be no one.
Okay, why is that?
Because I just feel like, I don't know.
Do you think both of the guys aren't good enough for Katie, or there's not a connection?
I agree with you that Justin's not the one for Katie.
Yeah.
I think what she has with Blake is very passionate. Like, there's clearly passion there. Like, you know, they want to do it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they will fall in love, and that's fine. I don't see them in love right now, but again, I am just a peasant watching a TV show. Like, I don't know anything. But I also really want her to pick Blake so that we can meet Blake, and then I can tell him that Anthony thinks you're a vulture.
Hey, I am a man of my word.
I know you will.
What did I say to Taylor? And this is years ago. This is at this point
you
5 years ago.
Team Corinne.
If you're a Bachelor fan, you know there was drama between our friend Taylor Nolan and Corinne, who was like the macaroni and cheese girl, right? And the nap girl.
Yeah, the nap girl.
And I was Team Corinne, and we knew Taylor was from Seattle, and we basically said in that show when we were talking about it, if Taylor ever comes to the studio, I will have to tell her that during the show I was Team Corinne, and I did. So I will tell Blake he had vulture tendencies, and I called him a vulture, but I never said he was a bad person, and I said most men are like that. I will stand by my words.
And that's fine. I agree. Augie said, like, damn, he's passionate as shit, but he always gets the names wrong. Is that you?
Probably, yeah.
Thank you, Jordy. I am a fan of my quote. I didn't read it till just now.
What was it?
I'm just a peasant watching TV. I know nothing.
I mean, that's all of us. So you're saying no one. Is that what you're saying? No, she is not going to pick anybody.
No, I think she's going to pick Blake. But I wanted it to be nobody.
But okay. So you're going, Blake is going to be chosen next week.
It has to happen. But actually, you know what? I want to say no one because she's been like hanging out with John and like these other guys. And like, I think in my mind, like if I was a guy who just proposed to a girl and I wasn't allowed to hang out with her publicly and she was hanging out with other guys, I'd probably be mad. But other part of me is like, it's 2021 and women can have relationships. Like,
I also think once you're in that bachelorette frat or sorority, whatever you want to call it, I think everyone's friends.
Yeah.
Like, and they all end up dating each other in some capacity.
Guys, I don't know.
Is the show 3 hours next week? I hope not.
I'm going to tell you what. I love Michelle.
Michelle?
I don't know if I can watch her season.
Oh, Michelle.
I think, well, I don't know that we're going to recap it.
No, we won't. Who do I think is... So my choices are Blake, Justin, or no one. And I am going to go with Blake. I am fully...
Okay.
I'm buying in 100% at the end of this. She picks Blake.
Yeah, I see it. I can see it. They can't send Blake on another season, Soccer Girl. There's just no way.
Yeah, 3 seasons is enough.
DJ Synth said everyone is friends in Bachelor Nation except Thomas and the skin salesman in the RV. Pause.
Who he just had a whole special on him.
Thomas actually was hanging out with Mike P, the virgin. Sorry, Mike P. I gotta explain. Mike P, the virgin. He was like, listen, all the guys on this season were amazing, even Bad Thomas. And they were hanging out together like somewhere. Cool. And I was like, I die. I commented Bad Thomas, which... Brendan?
Who the hell's Brendan?
Commented on my Instagram.
Oh, the Canadian.
Yeah.
With the swoop.
He like commented hearts or something on my Instagram. And I was like,
he was my dark horse the whole time. And then she just went home.
So yeah. And Cody was joined in one of my Instagram lives. So I'm like, oh man, we'll have this debate maybe on Thursday. My friends' ex-boyfriends are sliding into my Instagram.
They're not real ex-boyfriends. So. I think at this stage, Greg, Blake, and Justin, you can count those as Katie's ex-boyfriends. I think if you got eliminated
I
like
just
week
said we're going to have this conversation on Thursday.
All right.
And you just did it now. And I was still saying something, and now I don't remember, and it was about...
You were done.
No, the skin salesman. He's not actually a skin salesman. My
and he
friend
never lived
it.
in an RV.
No. So
that was all producer stuff. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thursday, we're going to continue that conversation we just had. We're also going to talk about my, what's it called? Review of the Suicide Squad. And we'll have some other stuff going on. So hang out with us on Thursday.
Bye, guys.